Hello, I'm Exodia, and today we're doing another video in our Roblox scripting how to script series. Today, if you haven't been able to tell already by the title and what you're looking at right now, we are doing a placement system, and it's going to be part one of a full placement system where we have some more customization, so you can use it in your game, and you can either use a placement system for like a furniture placing system, or if you're making a tower defense game, you can use this for your tower placement. Some things we want to have beforehand is a model that you want to use for your system. I have this chair already made. Then you also want to have a screen GUI with your button to be used to place your model down in your game. I already have this set, and you can customize it however you want. So anyways, now all we need to do is just insert a remote event into replicated storage, call it place event, and then we can also move our model into replicated storage. Then next we'll go into our text button. You could also use an image button if you'd like. However, I'm just using a text button for the example, and insert a local script, and we'll call this placement system underscore client, just to keep our scripts organized and everything. And so first we're going to make some variables for replicated storage, which, if you don't know how to make a variable, it's just local. Then you can title a variable whatever you want. Then you could set it equal to game : get service replicated storage, so we can get replicated storage. Basically, a variable is kind of like a box that can store things, so you could store local num equals 1 or 1.25. But anyways, we'll make another variable for the place event, which equals replicated storage : wait for child place event. Which, what we're doing here is we're waiting for this place event and replicated storage to load into our game so that we can use it and have it loaded in just fine, because not everything loads in instantly when you start up your game. We'll also make a variable for the chair, so local chair equals replicated storage : wait for child chair. And then we need to get some variables for the player and the player's mouse. So local player equals game.players local player. And then mouse, if you have not watched my advanced scripting tutorial video on the mouse, I highly suggest you do it. I do talk about how you can use the mouse, and you could definitely learn a bit more about it if you're unfamiliar with how to use the mouse. So to do that, to get the mouse, we'll just do player : get mouse. And this is pretty self-explanatory. It'll get the player's mouse on screen so we can manipulate it or use some data from it in our script. And then the final thing we will need to make a variable for is the text button. And also, for this, we're actually going to parent the local script to the screen GUI. It doesn't matter really if you want. This is just so if you have like maybe more than just this button in, you could parent it to this and just, get the variable accordingly. It doesn't really matter how you have the script, but just know it's going to affect how you get your variable. But if we were to have like a frame, I'd probably, personally for organization, put it inside the screen GUI and use it, because we have it as the whole client system. So that's why I'd have it parented like that. But anyways, we'll just have it parented to the button for now. And then we'll just make our furniture button. In fact, we'll just call it button equals script.parent. And if you had it parented to the screen GUI, you do script.parent : wait for child furniture button, or whatever you have your button named. So anyways, we'll do button.mouse button one click : connect function. Now what this is it's a function that'll trigger every time we are clicking this button inside of our game. And then when we click it, all the code will execute inside of this function. Now before we do anything, we're going to make another variable and call it placing, and we'll set it to false. So basically what we're going to use this for is as a check to make sure that we're in placement mode, so that our code won't like bug out or cause any issues otherwise. So local, actually not local, we'll set placing to true. And then we'll do mouse.move : connect function Now what mouse.move does is pretty self-explanatory. It's a function that'll trigger every time you move the mouse on screen, and you can maybe get the position that it's like touching the space plate on, or even get the base plate itself as the target of the mouse. And so every time we move the mouse, we'll do if placing equals true for an if statement. If you don't know how an if statement works, it's if, and then you have your condition. In this case, we have placing equals true because it's a bool value. Then we'll have our code here. So the code in our mouse.move function will not execute unless placing equals true, just so we don't have any other issues, like maybe once we exit the placement system, it's still trying to place your object. So we'll make a clone of the chair, and we'll do chair colon clone with open close parentheses. This is how you clone an object. And then we'll set, and actually, before we do this, we'll I'm gonna make another if statement. If workspace colon find first child chair equals nil, then. And so what this is it's an if statement that's just going to check to make sure that there isn't already a chair cloned inside of the workspace. This way, when we're trying to figure out where to place our chair, we will not have any issues with like constantly duplicating chairs and causing a bunch of problems that we don't want to encounter. So this will just make sure that one chair is cloned to be used at all times. We'll do clone chair dot parent equals workspace, so this way we can check for that chair inside our workspace. And so what we're going to do now is clone chair colon set primary part C frame. In fact, for this stuff we can put this outside of our mouse.move, mainly because we don't really need to check for it every time we're moving the mouse. That's just unnecessary. So then in that case, we'll actually still have to make sure. We don't need the if statement actually. So I'm jumbled about. I don't even know what I'm thinking about. But yeah. So clone chair. Oh wait. So we'll need to make a variable for a local clone chair, just so we can use it universally in our script. And if you want to make a variable but not set it to anything, you put an underscore before it in Roblox's Lua. So we'll do that. I'm going to do clone chair colon set primary part C frame mouse dot hit. And now what this does is, in fact, going to our model, if you do not have a primary part, then this will not work. You need to, I recommend you have a base inside your chair. It's just at like the bottom of it, and that just serves as like how we can move it. So in this case, the base of my chair is at the bottom like so. So that'll be where the chair gets moved to in the mouse position, that base. And when that base gets moved, the whole model gets moved with it. So that's what we're doing here. We're setting the primary parts C frame of our chair to our mouse's position, which mouse.hit will return a C frame that we can use for this. So in fact, let's make sure that this is working right now. I think we could do cframe dot new, because what's going on is that the cframe also stores the position. So we do cframe dot new mouse dot hit dot position. This is just going to get the position of the mouse, and it's going to turn it into a C-frame for us, and it's not going to use the rotation or anything. So see, yep, there we go. Now one thing we're going to do before moving on is mouse has something called target filter. And so what the target filter on the mouse does is it allows us to filter out things that the mouse can as you could see when we test it, the chair is constantly getting moved on top of itself, and we want to stop that. So if we set the target filter of the mouse to the chair, then we won't have this issue, because basically what's going to happen is the mouse is going to just ignore the chair. Now by default, the mouse automatically has the player filtered out, So you don't need to worry about doing that. And the thing about the mouse is that it can only filter out one thing at a time. You cannot, unfortunately, make a table to filter out multiple things, which is a bit annoying. However, it's still pretty useful for filtering out one object. So we'll set mouse. In fact, before we even set it, after we set it as the parent will do mouse dot target filter equals clone chair. And then if we test this, the mouse should no longer be trying to place it, constantly have it on the chair. Ooh, accidentally left a bracket there at the end. My bad. Let's just test this to make sure it works. And yeah, so our mouse is filtering out the chair so that we don't have any issues placing it, so that it works fine. And what we'll do here is we'll do mouse dot button one down connect function, and this works similar to mouse dot button one click. Instead, though, it just triggers whenever you click whenever you left click the mouse. You can also do button two down if you want it to trigger on a right click, but mouse dot button one down triggers on a left click. So what we'll do here is we will fire the place event. So place event fire server, because this is where we want to place our chair. And then we'll do mouse dot hit dot position. We're passing this as a parameter just so we know where we're placing the chair. And then I think the other thing that we'd want to pass just in case is chair.name. Or yeah, chair.name, or basically like the model that we want to place. So in this case, we'll do underscore clone chair.name. And then we'll make a server script in server script service. Call this placement system underscore server. And then we can just copy and paste our replicated storage variables. And we don't even need the chair in this case. We just need the place event. And then anything else we need? Nope. All we need to do is place event dot on server event connect function. And then we have our parameters player. And then the first parameter would be mouse dot position. And then our third one would be clone chair.name. This would be the second. This would be the third in our server. The player that fires the event is automatically given as a default first parameter, and we can call those other parameters that we set on the client whatever we want on the server, as long as we know what they are. So in here we'll call this mouse pose for mouse position, and then object name, and then we'll get our object. So local object equals replicated storage find first child object name, and then we will make a clone. So local clone object equals object clone clone object dot parent equals workspace clone object set primary part cframe cframe.new mouse pose. And then here we can delete the clone chair, so clone chair destroy. And then we can set placing the false, because we are no longer placing anything, equals false. Then can we break out of this? No. Don't think we could return either. We'll see if the return will break out of it. Because what I want, yeah, returning should break out of it. In fact, we will return here. So returning will just return a value. In this case, we're not passing a value, so we'll probably just return nil. But returning also it cuts off a function anywhere. So in fact, we will do return here to end our functions, and then we'll just test our placement system to make sure it works and do any bug fixing. So we click here and then we click, boom. We have our simple placement system. Next week I will be making a part 2 to this placement system where we're just polishing it up a little bit, maybe making it so you can customize the amount of studs you want to move it, and also doing some other fancy stuff, maybe like requiring a certain amount of currency to buy something, or making more of an elaborate system. But anyways, this is just a simple way to make a nice and easy placement system, and if you want to build off this, then you can. It's just really simple and bare bones, just for you to use it however you like in your game. So yeah, see ya.